Gloria in excelsis Deo, et in terra paz omnibus bone voluntatis. Laudamus Te, benedicimus Te, adoramus Te, glorificamus Te, gratias agimus
When we think of the great saints of St. Dominic's order, two names come to mind: the blessed founder himself, and beside him, the universal doctor of the Church, St. Thomas Aquinas. Renowned for his towering theological works, he was proclaimed the Doctor Communis, the common doctor of the Church, a guide we can turn to in times of doubt, confident that his teaching leads us away from error. Despite his vast writings, he would later reflect near the end of his life, "It is all straw." The Church rightly calls him the theologian. Yet, what made him so was not only his brilliance, but also a lesser known event from his early years, an episode of divine intervention known as the Girding of St. Thomas by the angels. St. Thomas was born into a wealthy and noble family who had high hopes for his future. They intended him to rise to prominence in the Benedictine monastery of Monte Cassino, where his uncle served as abbot. From a young age, he was sent there to study and prepare for this path, but God had other plans. A decade before St. Thomas's birth, St. Dominic had received approval to found the Order of Preachers. The Dominicans quickly spread throughout Europe, eventually reaching southern Italy, where St. Thomas encountered them and was captivated by their life and mission. He resolved to join this new and zealous order. His decision shocked his family, who had expected him to rise within the Benedictines. In an effort to stop him, they intercepted him on his journey to Paris and confined him within the walls of their castle. There they tried everything: reason, pressure, even manipulation, to change his mind. When persuasion failed, they turned to something darker. In a final effort to break his resolve, St. Thomas's brothers sent a woman of ill intent into his room, hoping to lure him into sin and destroy his vocation. But St. Thomas, filled with holy fervor, rose from his place and seized a burning log from the hearth, driving her out. Having overcome this trial, he fell to his knees and begged God, not only for strength in that moment, but for lifelong purity. That night, according to tradition, two angels appeared to him. They bound his waist with a mystical cord and declared that, through this act, God had granted him the gift of perpetual chastity, a grace he would carry unblemished to the end of his life. This moment, known as the Girding of St. Thomas, left a lasting mark on his soul. It set him apart not only as a master of sacred doctrine, but as a man whose life bore witness to the very virtues he taught. From that day forward, St. Thomas remained untouched by the temptations of the flesh, and his intellect, purified by grace, became an instrument entirely at the service of truth. For this reason, the Church honors him not only as the common doctor, but as the Doctor Angelicus, the angelic doctor. The title speaks not only to the sublime elevation of his intellect, but to the purity of his life. The memory of this miracle lives on in the Angelic Warfare Confraternity, which continues to promote the virtue of chastity under his heavenly patronage. So we consider the heights to which St. Thomas Aquinas rose, his synthesis of faith and reason, his clarity in explaining the mysteries of God. We must not forget the hidden foundation of his greatness: a heart made pure by grace, and a life consecrated to God from its earliest days.